presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Minnesota.
To the left field corner, and Sano ties the game.
This young man just heating up.
Lays to center field, and the Twins walk off the Indians again.
After a slow start this season, Miguel Sano's contributions at the plate are piling up. Along with his RBI total, he's knocked in runs in 5 consecutive games. It's a blustery day for baseball at Target Field, where this afternoon the Twins take on the Tigers in the second game of this weekend series in downtown Minneapolis. Tyler Duffy returns to the hill today for the Twins after a line drive forced his early exit last weekend. Jordan Zimmerman will get the start for Detroit, the man with the lowest ERA in Major League Baseball after his 5th win of the month. We welcome you to Twins baseball on Fox Sports North. As the weather this spring continues to warm up, so does Miguel Sano. Slow start out of the gate, but over his last 12 games, Roy, he's piled up some pretty good numbers.
Starting to swing it really, really well. He was not swinging well early. He was striking out a lot and really not putting the ball in play all over the field like the way he's capable. But now I see him start to use the whole field. He's been a 300 hitter every place that he's hit, not just a big home run guy. And if he hits 300, more home runs will happen. It's starting to look like the Miguel Sano we got used to seeing last year in the second half of the season. But not only that, this man is just a good athlete. Watch this play at third, bare hand, cannon to first. The young man can flat pick it over there at third base, and he loves to show it off. Playing right field right now because they have to get Trevor Plouffe in the lineup. But look at this play. He can do it now all over the field. He's just a happy guy who likes playing this game of baseball.
Sano has a 7-game hitting streak going against the Tigers here. Up next, Dick and Jack examine the challenge that awaits Tyler Duffy, who returns after taking a line drive to his shoulder last weekend in Washington.
Sports North is presented by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. By Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. And by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine for the everyday competitor in all of us.
After winning the series against the Cleveland Indians, the Twins still hope to win the series against the Tigers in Game 2 this afternoon at Target Field. They'll need to pick up a win. We're glad you're with us for Twins baseball. Dick Raymer along with Jack Morris filling in for Bert Blyleven. When the Twins recalled Tyler Duffy in the middle of August last year, he really provided a lift to the Twins rotation. Might have been their best pitcher in the last month and a half of the season, and that's exactly what they're asking him to do again this year.
He's going to go against one of the game's best right now in Jordan Zimmerman, so Tyler Duffy has to do what he was able to do last year. And his last start, not too bad. The trouble is he got hit in the shoulder in about the 5th inning, had to leave the game. But Duffy is a bulldog himself. He doesn't have the stuff to blow people away. He depends a lot on his breaking ball. There's the ball that was hit off his shoulder, and he had to leave the game because of that. But he is thrown aside in between starts and is ready to go today. And Tyler Duffy has done well against the Detroit Tigers.
He's done very well against them, but the Twins will have a tough time today because the guy is off to a great start in his first year with the Tigers, right-hander Jordan Zimmerman.
Yeah, this guy has emerged already as the Tigers' best pitcher, at least for the month of April. He's almost been perfect, only giving up the 1 earned run, and he's a bulldog. He comes right at you. He almost dares you to hit the ball. He's not going to walk you. He's going to challenge you. He's going to hope that his defense gets to be a part of the game by catching fly balls and ground balls.
A lot of parts of the game have blinked on and off for the Twins so far in the first month of the season. The most consistent part of the team has been Joe Mauer as he continues to hit the ball well. Twins fans had to pinch their nose through most of the game last night, but some encouragement. Tyler Duffy making the start, and so far here at Target Field, he's pitched awfully well. It's our Toyota key stat of the day.
Well, he's going to need to pitch well today because he's going up against a very hot hitting team right now in the Detroit Tigers. But he's got all the tools to win. Tyler Duffy, we've talked a little bit in the pregame here about the bulldog mentality of Jordan Zimmermann, but in his own right, Tyler Duffey has that same kind of mindset, and he's going to have to attack the strike zone.
And the Tigers come into this game having won 3 straight, having scored at least 7 runs in those 3 games. So yeah, they're swinging the bats pretty well. Brad Ausmus hoping to keep his team above the 500 mark. The Menards batting order has Kinsler, Martinez, Cabrera, J.D. Martinez, then Victor Martinez, Justin Upton, Nick Castellanos, and you think his name is long. Then it's Jared Salta, LaMacchia, Anthony Goes, and Jose Iglesias.
And the Tigers will face right-hander Tyler Duffey, and here's his numbers career-wise against the Tigers. He's been very good. 2 wins, no losses, a very good ERA, 10 strikeouts, and only 3 walks. So hopefully that'll continue as we start this ball game.
And Duffey ready, Kinsler ready. First pitch popped up, left side of the infield, and Nunez drifts under the ball, makes the catch in the grass. 1 pitch, 1 out, and already a better start for the Twin starter. Last night, of course, Phil Hughes really struggled through the first inning and gave up 3 runs after the leadoff walk. Twins in the field have Rosario, Santana, Sano across the outfield. The Eduardos on the left side of the infield, Dozier, Park on the right side, Joe Mauer DHing, and John Ryan Murphy making his first start of the homestand.
Well, you can't start the game any more efficient than 1 pitch, 1 out.
And now a first pitch strike to J.D. Martinez.
As we watch Tyler Duffey throw here early in the game, just watch the movement of the baseball when it comes out of his hand. He's got the great slider. That's what he uses a lot, the breaking ball, both the slider and a curveball. But the fastball has a good tail to it, and that's sometimes more important in the strike zone, to have movement, not necessarily the highest velocity.
Check swing. No, and it's 2-1. J.D. Martinez and the Tigers heating up at the plate.
They've got a shift on J.D. to the left side of the infield, and he hits a lot of balls to the right side, but they're usually in the outfield
or beyond. Inside that time he went, and it's 2-2.
That ball just totally tied him up inside.
The umpires for this afternoon's game: Quinn Walcott behind the plate, Brian Gorman at first, Mike DeMiro at second, and Ryan Blankney at third. And fouled away. And Duffey outstanding. He was called up in early August, had a tough time at the Rogers Center against the Blue Jays, sent back down, called up in the middle of August, and as we said, he might have been the Twins' best starting pitcher down the stretch. Tapper foul. Irvin Santana pitched well, but it was Duffey that really emerged unheralded, because, you know, for the last couple of years we've heard about Jose Barrios. We hadn't heard so much about Tyler Duffey, and he came up and really went a long way toward keeping this Twins team in the race.
He does, but this year it's going to be a little bit of adjustment year for Tyler, because the opposition knows how many breaking balls he throws, and they're aware of his slider and curveball. So I think the advantage goes back to the hitters now. Once through the league, they're going to have a better look at him, and he's got to make the counter adjustment, maybe throw more fastballs in to set up that breaking ball.
Nice early inning battle here between Martinez and Duffey. Another 2-2 on the ground, off the glove of Nunez, and Martinez will reach. Hot ground ball to the glove side of Nunez, and he couldn't field it cleanly. A probable hit.
Well, here comes the game's best hitter probably, and he's heating up. Home run in last night's game. Miguel Cabrera can do it all. His numbers against Twins pitching have been pretty much off the charts over the last 5 to 8 years. And he's one of the game's best, so Duffey's going to have to be careful here now with the runner on first base.
Nunez charged with an error, his second, the team's 17th error in now 24 games. Cabrera will hit with a man aboard and 1 out. And a pop-up foul and out of play. The adjustment that you spoke of regarding Duffey, he was made aware of that even in spring training. Now, throughout spring training, and the numbers weren't good, but he was working on a changeup to try to enable that adjustment that you spoke of.
And he struggled with his command in spring training more than anything else. I think his arm strength and everything is still there. But, you know, when you're working on a new pitch and you're trying to throw it in game situations, and that's always tough if you haven't done much of it. You're kind of forced, and there's no better time to do it than in spring training. And a little erratic with his command. Not only affected the changeup, which he was working on, but his fastball command and his breaking ball command.
1-1 to Cabrera. That's hit to right center field. And Sano is over, makes the catch out number 2. One thing he noticed in spring training, though, was that hitters adapting to what they knew about him were not swinging at the breaking ball out of the strike zone.
Welcome to the big leagues.
But that was a big pitch for him. They read fastball and it wasn't, and he got a lot of swings and misses.
Well, in particular, right-handed hitters, you know, when we talk about out of the zone, we're usually referring to the ball down and away that goes off the plate. Well, in order to adjust that, you might have to start the ball at the hitter's waist and have a front door slider, you know, where it comes in and catches the inside corner. Phil Hughes does that great with his cutter when Casey Fiend is on with his cutter. Those are pitches that they use.
Here's Victor Martinez, had a 4-hit game last night, and he takes away ball 1. A home run, and he slashed an opposite field double in his last at bat on a pitch that was a foot outside.
Yeah, he was saying, if you're going to give me that much room, I have enough bat control that I can slap the ball that way. And like you mentioned, Dick, the ball was well off the plate, but he's still able to look for the ball away and then just keep it fair.
On the outside corner, 1-1.
So far, it looks like Tyler Duffy has very good command. Working for the first time here with John Ryan Murphy.
14 pitches, 10 strikes. Number of them fouled off by Martinez before he reached on an error. 1-1. You kind of, I think, sympathize with Duffy's predicament in spring training. His numbers weren't good, and he didn't make the team out of spring training because he didn't pitch particularly well. 1-1. And down the left field line, that'll twist foul. But at the start of spring training, he was told to work on something, and so he's trying to do something that would be for his long-term benefit, but the short-term results were not very good, and so he started the season in Rochester.
Well, it's a crazy game, and it seems like April has many changes every year nowadays. Ricky Nolasco just flat out outpitched him and has been the Twins' best pitcher up to this point this year.
That one hacked down the line, and that one will stay fair. Martinez to second. Now to third, and he'll be held there with a nice retrieve. The ball out of the glove of Escobar, but a nice retrieve in the corner by Rosario. Victor Martinez sending J.D. Martinez to third with a double.
This is what makes Victor Martinez such a great hitter, is he's able to go with the pitch. You see the ball is up and away, and he just shoots it out to left field. He can pull the ball when the ball's on the middle half in. He just really is a true professional hitter.
And now Justin Upton. Duffy having to hoping to pitch around an error to Nunez and put a 0 up on the board. Upton with a couple of hits last night, the average creeping up to 220. And that's one hit a long way to left field, and the Tigers, who got 3 in the first last night, get 3 unearned runs at least here in the first inning today.
Well, it might be Jack Morris's kiss of death, but I watched the series in Detroit against Cleveland where Upton just really struggled to even make contact. He was absolutely in a funk. And here in this series, Upton got a couple hits yesterday. You can see where John Ryan Murphy is trying to get the pitch, and he's all crossed up. I don't know if he thought that was going to be a breaking ball or not, but it was a fastball that tailed back over the heart of the plate. And right now, Justin Upton is hot.
3-0, and now Castellanos. And a strike on the outside corner. So Murphy didn't seem to know what was coming, but Upton reacted like he knew what was coming and clubbed it into the second deck. 1 strike to Castellanos.
The Twins spot the Tigers 3 runs again in the first inning.
And now a ball. This Tiger team with Upton, Kinsler, Martinez squared, Cabrera. A lot of veteran hitters, proven hitters. And just a few days ago, the talk was, well, the Tigers are struggling. The lineup isn't producing. Then Brad Ausmus made just a minor tweak. He moved Martinez up to the second spot.
J.D.
Martinez. And then all of a sudden now it's 7 runs, 9 runs a game. There's a swing and a miss, and that'll end the inning. But 3 unearned runs for the Tigers in the top of the first. Justin Upton hitting his second for his new club. That proved very costly, gave the Tigers an extra out. They took advantage. Twins 6-3 in their last 9 home games after the 3-game sweep that started the home schedule against the White Sox. The Menards batting order for this afternoon's game: Danny Santana, Brian Dozier, Joe Mauer, Miguel Sano, Byung-Ho Park, Eduardo Escobar, Eduardo Nunez, Eddie Rosario, and John Ryan Murphy.
And the Twins will be facing the right-hander Jordan Zimmermann, who is going after his 5th win here in the month of April, and he's coming right at you now with a 3-run lead, even more so.
One strike to Santana, squaring and taking ball 1. That's a good bunt if he can get past Cabrera. And did he touch first base? No. Santana slid by the bag, but he never reached and touched the bag.
So he had to avoid the attempted tag by Miguel Cabrera, and he did that. The trouble is he got outside the baseline just a little too far. You can see a perfectly placed bunt. Cabrera doing a great job of coming after him, but he could not reach. Danny Santana could not reach the bag after he avoids the tag there. Just 6 inches short of the bag.
So 1 down, and now Dozier lifts it high to left field, carrying to the warning track, and now back on the grass with the wind blowing in as it's been throughout this homestand. Upton makes the catch, and 2 very quick outs for Zimmermann. Oakland for defense for Detroit, and veterans pretty much all over the field.
Upton goes. Martinez, the outfielders. Castellanos, Iglesias, Kinsler, Cabrera, and Saltalamacchia behind the plate.
Yeah, other than Saltalamacchia, James McCann, their everyday catcher, currently going through a rehab stint. But that's pretty much their set lineup. You're going to see more and more of this lineup than not.
McCann, by the way, expected to rejoin the big league club on Tuesday. He won't be here in Minnesota. He's on a rehab assignment. Ball one to Bauer, the designated hitter today. And now a strike at the knees. So Duffy got the first out on one pitch. And then Zimmerman did it one better, I guess. He got 2 outs on 4 pitches. And Bauer lines one to left, a base hit.
Joe just keeps on hitting, and his on base streak now every single game this year.
And he's taking care of it early. It seems like more often than not he's on base in the first inning.
Well, Zimmerman's not going to mess around. He's challenging him right down inner half of the plate here with a fastball. And that's a classic Joe Mauer swing. Inside out, barrels it up, shoots it to left.
Every game Mauer has reached either through a walk or a hit. Miguel Sano on that list as well. What the Twins need here is a jolt. It was a very disappointing ball game last night. He takes a strike. Twins gave up an early lead, got within a couple runs a couple of times, but it really was just a bad game. And now the Tigers get 3 runs in the first. Twins need a long ball here from Sano. Inside 1-1.
What really kind of caught me by surprise in last night's game, Phil Hughes came out of the game with 81 pitches after 5 innings, and the game was 4-2. It was still a close ball game, and you've got one of your best pitchers on the mound, and he's out of the game.
Paul talked about that before the game. He said there was body language, and just the sense was, I mean, from the manager, he just thought that first inning took way too much out of a veteran pitcher, and that it was time to make a change after 5. 1-2 to Sano. Up high, and it's 2-2.
When you see a pitcher for the first time like the Twins are seeing Zimmerman here, you kind of want to get a bunch of pitches early in the game. You need to see what he's going to feature and how he's going to try to get you out. You can look at a lot of film of other games, but until you're in that batter's box yourself, you have a better idea by just tracking the baseball.
And that's why maybe Santana tried to bunt. He was gone on 3 pitches, and Dozier swung at the first pitch and popped it up to left. 3-2. And a foul tip. Saltalamacchia hangs on, and Mauer's left at first. After 1, the Tigers lead 3-0.
The Tigers as we head into the second inning here at Target Field. As Tyler Duffey makes his second start of the season, the one thing to keep an eye on is that changeup. That's the very pitch he scratched completely from his arsenal last season. But Tyler Duffey knew that if he wanted to become a mainstay in this rotation, he would have to give that pitch another go. So it was the biggest focus of his spring training. Now, Tyler Duffey says he feels good about the mechanics of the pitch. Now it's just a matter of learning when to throw it. He says he doesn't want to be a guy who throws it just because he can. He wants to figure out when the best situations are to use that pitch. Now, Paul Molitor says that plays perfectly into what he wants to see today. He says he has complete confidence that Tyler Duffey is the kind of guy that can keep these Tigers off balance. But the biggest thing he has to do is just trust his stuff. Guys.
Pop up, only one infielder on that side, and the catch is made. Thank you, Audra. And it is Escobar, the shortstop, making the catch in foul ground on Saltalamakia's pop-up.
Last night's game, Phil Hughes spotted the Tigers 3 runs in the first and then settled in for the next 3 innings. And that's what Duffy's going to have to do here. He's going to have to hold them in check and hope that the Twins can figure out something off of Jordan Zimmerman.
One down, and now Anthony goes. Just off the plate, ball 1. Kind of a important part of the schedule, even though it's the end of April and now working into early May. 3 of the next 4 starts for the Twins, and the Twins are all 9 games below 500. They can't really afford to take any more steps backward, but 3 of the next 4 games will be started by the youngsters, the least experienced members of the starting pitching core. You've got Duffy today. Now Nolasco will go tomorrow. He's been very good. But then in Houston, the Twins will go with Barrios and Meyer. And boy, the cliche goes, youth must be served, but the Twins are putting it to a bit of an extreme here in their starting rotation. Inside, that hit goes.
You can never predict injuries, and that's exactly what's happened. Kyle Gibson and Irvin Santana both placed on the DL the same day, and that gives opportunities to the kids. And they have to capitalize on these opportunities. They're going to get so many looks. Alex Myers already had a few opportunities. Tyler Duffey up last year. Let's see the pitch there, that just a breaking ball that keeps on coming. And it ends up catching Anthony Gose on the back leg, inner knee area.
And now Jose Iglesias did not play last night. Talked a bit about it the other day when Barrios was pitching, but we were on the road. We were in Milwaukee, and the Twins rotation, frankly, was the least of their concerns at the time. And then you looked at the Rochester stats, and well, Duffy, he's doing really well down there. Barrios is dominating. Even Alex Myers doing well down there. And boy, a week later, they're all here and in the rotation. Tapper foul.
And you have to give them a few starts. I mean, it's unfair to judge in any way 1 or 2 outings from these kids. They're going to have their nerve issues again. I think Duffy's probably the calmest of the 3 because he's had probably the most experience at this stage in the big leagues. And he does have a mindset of a bulldog. He's going to come at you. He's not afraid to throw his stuff. This is his game.
1-1 to Iglesias. Throw to first, low throw, knocked down nicely by Park. At least I think Park knocked it down. It didn't hit the runner. Yep. Knocked it down with the glove. This is Tyler Duffey's 12th major league start. And then Monday, Jose Barrios will make his 2nd major league start. Then on Tuesday, Alex Meyer will be making his first major league start. So the Twins are hoping to get this season turned around, and in the short term they're going to rely on a lot of inexperienced starting pitchers to start picking up some wins. 1-1 to Iglesias.
There's yesterday's Tigers starter, Michael Fulmer. Picks up his first win in his major league debut.
As he said, he was on cloud 9 after the game. It worked out as well as he could have imagined from the time he was a kid. Wanted to be a big league player, starter. Had the benefit of some early run support. Pitched well with that lead. Inside, now 2-1.
Yeah, for the average fan who will never experience what it's like, it is euphoria. It's something that it's etched in your brain for life, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful moment. And I think it all starts from whenever you hear the words from either your manager or the scouting director, or whoever calls you to say you're going to the big leagues. It's just you just are on a high for quite some time. Mainly because you don't start baseball and 2 weeks later get to the big leagues. There is a vested interest in some time to get there.
Some sweat equity.
Yep.
In going through the minor leagues. And in Fulmer's case, changing organizations. That's off of Duffy, and a fortuitous bounce to the shortstop, and a 1-6 unassisted 3 double play. And that ball, I think, hit the glove of Duffy, hopefully not his pitching hand, as it skipped to the shortstop. For Detroit, and today's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by the Silver Bullet, clean, crisp Coors Light. And Jordan Zimmermann has given up 1 run so far this year, and the Twins are going to need to get at least 4 runs today to win the ball game. Young Ho Park takes outside, ball 1. Jake Arrieta has given up 4 runs.
Also a no-no.
Yeah, and has pitched a no-hitter. 1-0 to Park. He'll be followed by Escobar and Nunez. 2-0. I am a proud product of a town that has 100 people living in it right now, Dumont, Minnesota. There's a strike. Jordan Zimmermann is from Auburndale, Wisconsin. The latest census pegged their population at 829 people.
Big town.
It is
compared to Dumont.
Compared to Dumont, you're right. 2-2 now to Park. And so I've always had a special place in my heart, I guess, for small town guys who make it to the big leagues. Park strikes out, 1 down.
Another good breaking ball right there for Zimmermann. His 2nd strikeout of the game.
In Twins history, we had a visitor. We both had a chance to visit with Dave Goltz before the game today. He came down for a photo session with Twins fans, and he's from Rothsay. The latest census has Rothsay at 493 people.
Well, that's what's a beautiful thing about pro sports, is that you don't have to be born and raised in a big city. You can have skills and genetics and all those things necessary, heart, and come from a small town.
Yep. Jerry Kuzman from the Appleton, Minnesota area, product of the Land of Ducks League in western Minnesota. Down and away. If you wanted to go to Auburndale, by the way, you would take 94 into Wisconsin. You'd go past Eau Claire. Ball lifted foul and out of play. You'd go to Osseo. You'd stop at the Norski Nook there for lunch, and then you'd take Highway 10 east.
The Norski. What would you have there at the Norski?
Oh, I've had the turkey, mashed potatoes, and gravy there. It's very good. And poke to the right side, past a leaping Cabrera, and Escobar has a base hit.
Eduardo Escobar, one of the few Twins players that have had any kind of time against Zimmerman. He was 0 for 2 coming into this game.
The Twins flex plan gives you the flexibility to choose your games and your number of seats. You can choose in advance or even the day of the game, so don't plan, flex plan. Go to twinsbaseball.com/flex or call 833-TWINS to learn more. Here's Eduardo Nunez with a man aboard and 1 out.
Really nice crowd here gathered at Target Field today, and they're all, not all, but a lot of people sporting the bomber hats.
Kind of a red, tan, and red blue plaid bomber hat this year. That's been a very popular promotion for the Twins over the last 3 years, I believe.
Picked a good day to give it to them. It's a little brisk. Wind.
You walked around these parts in the wintertime. It's one product that the Twins give away, and you see it in the wintertime.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, those ear flaps come down and really can keep your head warm.
1 strike to Nunez. Swing and a miss, 2 strikes.
Jordan Zimmerman just kind of on cruise control. We mentioned at the start that he was a guy that threw a lot of strikes. He's coming at you, has not walked a hitter yet, struck out 2. Giving up a couple base hits.
All back. Hey, and a fan, a youngster, 7 years old with a bomber hat and his glove just made a great catch right in front of us. That was awesome.
Well, that's always fun to watch when a kid brings his glove and actually uses it.
Well, that's the highlight of the series so far.
Come on.
Popped up down the right field line. It'll be a long run for J.D. Martinez. Kinsler measuring it. Makes a basket catch and foul, ground 2 away. And that'll get us to Eddie Rosario. With the exception of Mowers at bat, and he lined a sharp single to left, everybody seems a little bit off balance, which you see when you've got a pitcher out there who changes speeds, hits his spots, and knows what he's doing out there.
He changes eye levels too. That's another plus for Jordan Zimmerman. He'll go up and down in the zone with both his fastball and his breaking ball. There was a tailing fastball. He tried to catch the outside corner, but it just kept running away from Eddie Rosario.
Swing and a miss, 1-1. Escobar chased back to the bag. And that's lifted foul and out of play. We'll see an awful lot of Zimmerman, having signed his big contract. First was with the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, first time through the league, and especially here in the same division. Jordan Zimmermann taking advantage of it. The hitters haven't seen a lot of him because of his time in the National League with the Nationals.
1-2. Roll to the right side, right at Kinsler. Twins get another base runner on a base hit. But the highlight of the inning came from a young fan catching a foul ball. Came to the game prepared, made a great catch. Baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by CenturyLink. Switch to CenturyLink Prism TV for an advanced TV experience. Learn more at cprismtv.com. 3-0 Detroit. Justin Upton with a 3-run home run in the first inning. And as he did in his first inning at bat, Ian Kinsler goes after the first pitch. In the first inning, he popped it up to Nunez. And now a foul ball. But he got a piece of Murphy. 1 strike. And somebody on Twitter nice enough to remind me, we were talking about major leaguers from small towns in Minnesota. And, someone on Twitter nice enough to remind me about Caleb Thielbar, Randolph, Minnesota, population about 300. Then that triggered the thought Jerry Terrell from Elysian, Minnesota, population 652.
Terry Steinbach.
New Ulm.
New Ulm. That's a little bit bigger.
Like New York City.
I mean, they have a big old brewery down there.
But I guess, you know, one of the reasons that those players are especially meaningful to me, having grown up in a small town, is, you know, the aspiration was to not. There's a fair ball, and that one skips under Nunez's glove into the corner, and Kinsler will go to second base. Ball bounced right over the bag, and I'm trying to give Nunez the benefit of the doubt here. The ball may have hit the bag and skipped on him, but he didn't make the play, and it'll be a 2-base error.
Yeah, you've got to make that play, whether it's fair or foul. That's your job as a third baseman. It wasn't that difficult for him. Take another look at it.
No, it didn't hit the bag. Second error charged to Nunez.
Just right under his glove.
One going to his left, one going to his right. And now J.D. Martinez reached on the first. Nunez error. The aspiration for the Goltzes and the Jordan Zimmermans, people like that, was simply to play for the town team. Never imagining that you'd get to the big leagues. Lifted foul over the Twins dugout. 1 strike.
So what you're trying to tell me is that I was just the really exception to the rule when at 6 years old I told my mom that I was going to play for the Twins. You know, I might have been.
I did too when I was. I did too when I was 6.
Yeah, but when she gave me the hug to say that you just keep dreaming, I said, no, Mom, I'm going to. Of course, I didn't really know, but I wanted to express the confidence.
Sure. 2 strikes to J.D. Martinez. Twins can ill afford to fall further behind. We saw last night they pecked away at the early Detroit lead, but weren't able to get within 2. And then at the end of the game, the Tigers just blew everything apart. 1-2.
Well, the old formula in baseball, if you're going to get to postseason, it's pitching and defense, and they go hand in hand. You make a ground ball, you get your pitch in the zone, and then you depend on your defense to make the play behind you. And already there's a double play.
Dozier with the catcher almost right on top of the bag. Second double play in the last 2 innings. 2 away.
And he cut a break. Didn't get a break to start the inning, but this one fisted right to Brian Dozier, and Ian Kinsler gets doubled off second base.
And now Miguel Cabrera. Cabrera hit a fly ball to Sano for the second out of the first inning, and that's when the trouble began for Tyler Duffy. Opposite field double by Victor Martinez. Upton crushed one into the wind into the second deck, and it was 3-0. High fly left center field. This ball in the air a long time, and the wind will knock it down to Santana's glove. 3 men batting in the third. It's still 3-0 Detroit. Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by T-Mobile. Get Major League coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the last year. Audra Martin, Jack Morris, Dick Bramer here at Target Field. And another quick lead for the Tigers. 3 runs in the first. John Ryan Murphy will try to start a 3rd inning rally for the Twins. Murphy with 3 hits, 32 at bats, double 2 singles. First time he's played since that 16-inning back-breaking loss to the Nationals on Sunday. Up and away, ball 1. And now 2-0. Santana and Dozier will follow. Down the middle, a strike. Somebody else on Twitter reminded me about a Minnesota native, small town making it to the big leagues. Dick Stigman, the pride of Nimrod, Minnesota, population 69. So Zimmerman forever has been
told that he's from a small town, population 829, but there are smaller towns that have produced big leaguers. 2-2 to Murphy. Kinsler picked it off, and no assist. He'll get a put out instead. Second base umpire Mike DeMuro ruling that he made the catch in the air, one away. Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Surfrider Foundation in celebration of this month's Every Day is Earth Day initiative. By making simple changes in our daily lives, we can make a big impact on our environment. Go to foxsportsupports.com and learn more about what you can do to be a part of the solution. That's one of the beauties, of course, of this ballpark. It is the greenest ballpark in the major leagues, and I don't say that because of the color of the grass. The recycling bins throughout the ballpark. Santana taps it foul. With all the rain we've had, the rainwater is recycled and used to be reapplied to the infield. 0-2 to Santana. Tried to bunt his way aboard in the first, and he checks his swing, and it's 1-2.
We talk a lot about Jordan Zimmermann and his command, and a little footnote I read here that he has not walked 2 straight batters in 123 starts going into this season. And the last time he did it was May 6, 2012. You know, Phil Hughes, remarkable command, and yet this guy very similar in the fact that rare to even see him walk a guy, and when he does, even rarer to have back-to-back walks. Phil Hughes, last night's starter.
2-2, and Santana swings through strike 3. Third strikeout for Jordan Zimmermann. Bring up Brian Dozier.
So the last pitch from Jordan Zimmermann, just a little cutter, slider, whatever it is, just gets underneath the hands in the swing of Danny Santana.
Dozier with a fly ball on the first pitch he saw in the first inning. Caught by left fielder Upton. Actually might have had a chance to go out, but the wind is blowing in significantly from left field. 1 strike to Dozier. Now a 2-hopper to third. Castellanos backpedals, fires across, and a quick 1-2-3 third inning for Jordan Zimmermann. Baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit northlandford.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. 3-0 Detroit as we go to the 4th inning. Leading it off for the Tigers, Victor Martinez, who hit another opposite field double that set up Upton's 3-run home run.
Yeah, that all after a sharply hit ball by J.D. Martinez, in which Eduardo Nunez committed the error, and all 3 runs became unearned runs. Both teams with a pair of hits so far.
5 hits already in the series for Victor Martinez. And a strike in the outside corner. Duffy's gotten a couple of double plays, one on the ground, one on a line drive, to help him get to the 4th inning with an economical number of pitches.
There's a changeup right there that Duffy has been working on spring training in Rochester this year.
1-1. Martinez. 1-2.
Just a lot of movement from that arm position that Duffy throws the ball. It's a kind of a 3/4, a little bit of a slinging arm action, but his wrist is cocked away from his body a little bit, and that gets that fastball to really tail.
And Martinez strikes out, 1 away.
Just a very good sequence of pitches right there from Duffy.
Martinez doesn't strike out very often, but Duffy got him there.
He comes in with the fastball, and Martinez just swung underneath it. Second strikeout for Tyler.
It's the 8th strikeout for Victor Martinez on the season. 1 down, and now Justin Upton plastered a Duffy offering into the 2nd deck with 2 men aboard in the 1st.
We talk about the wind today and how it's knocked down some of the fly balls, especially those that have been hit high. And it kind of reiterates how hard Upton must have hit that ball to go into the upper deck back in the 1st inning.
Might have still been climbing when it got into the upper deck. That was a line drive.
Well, he has power, and when he does connect, you can see the flags blowing straight in from left field.
Well, north winds generally aren't the most favorable. Nice to have one every once in a while in July when it's hot. But these north winds might keep the precipitation to the south of us. A lot of rain in southern Minnesota and down into Iowa. We'll just hope that the north wind keeps everything dry here at Target Field today. Swing and a foul, 2-2. Got out in a hurry.
Here's the home run that Upton hit. Fastball that tailed back over the heart of the plate in an upper level.
2-2 from Duffy. Just missed the corner. 3-2.
And Duffy really wanted this pitch. Foxtrax has it just off the plate, but I don't think Mr. Foxtrax actually has that laser right over the front part of the plate.
Tapper to third. Nunez gets another try. And on target, 2 down. Foxtrax was presented by Jeep. Castellanos will bat. May 9th is Scrubs Night at Target Field. A limited number of Scrubs Night theme night ticket packages are available that include a game ticket and Twins scrub bottoms. Go to twinsbaseball.com/scrubs to learn more about the Scrubs Night theme night offer. And you get the tops and you can go around and act like you're a doctor.
Or at least sleep in a Holiday Inn once in a while.
Castellanos struck out his first time up. A ball. Castellanos with 14 runs batted in this year. Swing and a miss. 1-1.
Last fastball from Duffy clocked at 91 here at Target Field, but it seemed like it got on the hitter a lot quicker than that, and that's what Duffy can do. He's a power guy, even though he doesn't light up the radar gun.
Popped up. It will reach the seats. Well, what you're talking about, I think, is the art of deception, hiding the ball. And some pitchers do a good job of it and others do not. And I mean, it sounds like something every pitcher would want to do, yet some guys just don't seem to be able to do it.
No question, hitters read the ball out of some pitchers' hands a lot better than others. And the numbers say that Zimmerman and Duffy have similar stuff. Fastball, slider, breaking ball. You know, both these guys are close in velocity.
One and two to Castellanos. Strikeout. Duffy has faced 3 batters in innings 2, 3, and 4. He's still down 3-0. But Joe Mauer will lead off the bottom of the inning. Tigers bottom of the 4th coming up. The team with the most wins in the American League, the Chicago White Sox, 16 wins, a little bit of a hit to the bullpen. Daniel Webb on our Sanford Health injury report with some elbow issues. White Sox with the most wins in the American League, the Cubs with the most wins in the National League. Joe Mauer takes a strike. He singled to left his first time up. Sano and Park will follow.
It appears that Tyler Duffy has kind of settled in a little bit. It'd be nice to see the Twins get back into this ball game. They need base runners.
One hopper hit hard, but right at Cabrera. He goes through the bag, one away. And that'll bring up Sano. Sano went down swinging his first time up. Another entry from Twitter. I eventually would have thought of this, but Mike Kingery from Atwater, Minnesota, population just over 1,000, 1,133. Strike at the knees to Miguel Sano. One and one. Two and one. I recall you being pretty hard on yourself if you did as Zimmerman just did. He just missed badly with a pitch, and you could see his body language very hard on himself. And is that something that got better for you as time went? Here's a drive to right field and retreating near the track, and now over, making the catch is J.D. Martinez, out number 2.
I think in general, baseball would prefer you to have a stoic look and never show any kind of emotion out there. That just wasn't possible for me. I'm sorry. But I think the key is, if you do show emotion, that don't let it control you. You know, be able to regroup and refocus. And it took a while. I can certainly say when I was young, it got the best of me at times, but I learned to be able to release some emotion and then refocus in a hurry.
Park struck out his first time up. 1 strike here in the 4th. Fouled back 2 strikes. Our Soup trivia question today: who holds the Twins rookie record for home runs in the month of April? Has 5. It's the last day of April. Checks his swing. 1 and 2.
Well, that would almost include, well, it's not every Twins player because a lot of them came over here from other organizations, but anybody that came up through the organization had their rookie debut. But did they all have it in the month of April?
A drive to left center. This
one.
Ball is tagged. Home run number 6 for Byung-Ho Park. First home run allowed this year by Jordan Zimmerman.
A lot like Upton's ball. That ball was a laser shot, and it just kept it low, got underneath the wind, but was driven. See the swing, a little cutter slider that went right out over the extension for Byung-Ho Park. Just a beautiful swing right there, unless you're the guy throwing the ball.
Twins on the board, and now here's Escobar. He takes a strike. Not much has gone right for the Twins in April, but Park's transition to everything in the big leagues has maybe been the bright spot among the players this year. Mauer's return to form might be another.
Park is an interesting guy. When you look at what he's done so far in a Twins uniform, he'll go 2-3 days in a row where he won't get a hit. He'll strike out 3 to 5 times, and you wonder, you know, if he's got it figured out, and then he hits a bomb.
The right side, and smothered by Cabrera, and got him. What a play! And I think they got him too. Escobar doesn't like the call, but it looked like Zimmerman made an awkward catch with his right foot on the bag. Now, no one, at least Zimmerman's not moving. He's anticipating a challenge by the Twins, but boy, from up here, it looked like his foot was on the bag with the ball in his glove before Escobar got there.
We'll get another look. It's not the classic Miguel Cabrera throw.
No, that's why Zimmerman
might not have touched the bag.
That's why he didn't come off the field. He knows he never made contact with the bag. So Escobar, assuming the Twins do challenge, he'll get first base here. And so they'll look at it and they'll see what we just showed you, that Zimmerman's right foot was 2 inches off the first base bag.
This is the angle. You can see that Zimmerman's foot and throw, everything beat him, but you got to have your foot on the bag, and he did not.
And Escobar, looking down, could see dirt between the foot and the bag. So Zimmerman, to his credit, didn't try to deceive anybody and go to the dugout or anything like that. He knew he never touched the bag.
Well, I've got to believe it's going to be ruled a hit.
Yep.
Even though Miguel Cabrera looked like a beached whale there, flopping around.
I'm going to put it in my book as a hit. How about that? Escobar's second hit to the right side. They'll rule safe, and I think the official scorer will rule hit. And Nunez will come to the plate representing the tying run.
Well, that's 2 hits for Eduardo Escobar. It was a hit.
Nunez hit a pop-up behind first, and Kinsler made the catch and foul ground his first time up. Twins out hitting the Tigers 4-2.
flare foul into the seats.
Looked like Eduardo Escobar kind of had a little bit of a walking lead there, and those are the kind of things that Paul Molitor would do as a player. If he could catch the pitcher somewhat sleeping or not paying attention, good time to steal 90 feet of bases and get into scoring position.
Nunez had to get a new bat, might have cracked the last one. A 2-out home run by Park and an infield hit by Escobar. Nunez trying to keep the line moving.
Well, Twins out hitting Detroit 4-2. Detroit's still on top. That big 3-run first inning.
Long hold by Zimmerman, and that freezes Escobar at first. 1-1. That's to right center field, and retreating is J.D. Martinez for the catch. Twins get one on the board. Young-Ho Park hitting his 6th home run of the season, and it's 3-1. Young-Ho Park, the first baseman, drilling a home run into the bullpen. And the Twins are on the board. Bottom third of the Tiger lineup now to face Tyler Duffy in the 5th. Saltalamacchia goes and Iglesias. First pitch, foul.
Saltalamacchia has been a pleasant surprise, at least offensively, for the Tigers. 6 home runs early on.
Supposed to be the backup, but then when the regular catcher James McCann went on the disabled list, Saltalamacchia became the #1 catcher. Wilson, the backup, swing and a miss, 1-2.
Big part of those good Boston Red Sox teams back with Napoli, and I guess back when Terry Francona was managing him.
If his name was any longer, he'd be tucking in a vowel or a consonant inside his belt.
Or you'd
14 letters long.
A nickname, maybe. They call him Salty.
Can you imagine Bob Casey announcing Jared Saltalamacchia?
Well, your buddy Bert.
Fouled back. 2-2. Duffy to Saltalamacchia. Duffy's done a nice job. And the 3 runs he gave up in the first were ruled unearned runs because of the first Nunez error. Pounded foul.
Duffy doesn't get rattled too easily. He's a guy that has confidence in his stuff, and he's been banged around. I remember his first start in Toronto. He came in thinking that he was going to beat the world, and I loved his confidence. I really did. But the Blue Jays put a whooping on him, and it didn't affect him much. His next start he went out and he still pitched a good game and proceeded to have a very good stint with the Twins last year.
In his last 9 starts, he just gave up 2 home runs. He's given up 2 this year and a big one in the first inning today. But one of his strengths is his ability to keep the ball in the ballpark. Remember, we talked about that last year, how he had given up 1 home run in all his minor league innings last year. Saltalamacchia finally strikes out. It'll bring up goes. Twins fans, you can join the Heart of 29, a year-long campaign to help support the American Heart Association. Purchase a special Carews Corner ticket package Fridays in April and May and receive a Rod Carew Twins jersey. Fans can also join or pledge Rod's team at the Twin Cities Heart Walk. For more details, visit foxsportsnorth.com. Click on upcoming events on the Hot Topics bar. Goes hitting the left ankle by a slider from Duffy, and he takes strike 1.
10 of 16 first pitch strikes for Tyler. See the pitch count there at 66. Threw a lot of pitches in that first inning. Settled in ever since then.
Missing 1-1. Awkward swing, and it's 1-2. Duffy last year 58 innings. The 2 home runs in his first start, then just 2 after that. Then in the minor leagues, 138 innings and 1 home run allowed in the minor leagues. So what the Tigers did to him in the first inning, something he's unaccustomed to, asking for a new baseball. Up, and it's 2-2.
I think the plan of attack against Anthony Gose is to try to get ahead and then throw the breaking ball down and in, bounce it if you have to. He has a tendency over his career to chase balls low.
Breaking ball fielded by Escobar. Park 2 now. Since the Upton home run, granted there have been a couple of double plays, but he's gotten 12 outs from 12 batters.
Just what they need him to do is keep the game where it is. Now it's a 2-run ball game with the home run by Byung-Ho Park.
Iglesias, the batter, in a high chopper over the mound. Tapped to third, a foul ball. Duffy deflected it right to Escobar, who stepped on the bag and threw to first for the inning-ending double play.
You look at the pitches by inning for Tyler Duffy. He had a few too many in the first inning, but after that, been very efficient.
And fastball in off the plate.
I think the standard rule for those of you that haven't heard it from Burger Eye is 15 pitches or less per inning, and you're usually doing your job pretty well if you can do that.
Missed high a little bit, I guess. 2-1. Well, let's do some Minnesota high school math, you and I. 15 pitches per inning, and if you pitch 7 innings at that rate, that would be, you got your calculator, you got your phone out for this.
We can use calculators now. How many innings? 7?
7 times 15.
Well, that 105 pitches, a little over 100.
I think every pitching coach and manager in baseball would take that in this day and age, wouldn't they?
Sure. They might even let you go the 5 extra.
2-2.
Neil Allen, he's probably scratching his head a little bit with the way this rotation has evolved. Always going to be some challenges as a pitching coach, hitting coach.
Nunez guns it over to Park. And another 1-2-3 inning for Tyler Duffy.
In the 5th inning, we're here inside the Minnesota Lottery Winner's Circle with Matt and Linda from Motley, Minnesota. And you guys tell me that one of my broadcast partners is actually very familiar with your part of Minnesota. That's a fun fact of the day. But you guys are also celebrating your 32nd wedding anniversary today, which is fantastic. So I have to ask, besides a mutual love of baseball, what's the key to 32 years of happiness?
Well, it takes a lot of tolerance for sure. Love, of course, and I think you got to have God in your life, and just mostly tolerance and putting up with the little things.
I love it. Tolerance. I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm sure everyone else at home is taking notes. So you guys are going to get $100 worth of lottery tickets from the Minnesota Lottery. So good luck and congratulations to you guys. Guys, back to you upstairs.
All right, and those romantic trips down the Crow Wing River.
Oh, God, here we go.
Huh?
That guy looked like Mark Messier.
I spent a lot of time on the Crow Wing River.
Romantically, I'm sure.
Well, no. In a canoe or a boat. Here's Rosario. 2 strikes. Leading off the Twins' 5th. A high pop-up. Short left center field. And the left fielder Upton is going to have to come in even more to make the catch. 1 down. That'll bring up John Ryan Murphy. Zimmerman has pitched into or through the 7th inning in 3 of his 4 starts. And you see his pitch count, a very modest 62 pitches, and he's got 13 outs. Murphy lined out with Kinsler making a catch right before the ball was going to hit the ground.
You look at some of the numbers to start the month of April for the Twins offensively, and you can see where some of their problems have come from. John Ryan Murphy just really struggling, hitting under 100. Eddie Rosario right at 100. Brian Dozier right at 200. I mean, Rosario was right at 200.
(2-0). Ball lifted to right center field. Moving back is Martinez, and dropping the ball at the wall. Martinez had a play on it. Murphy stands at second base.
Well, the wall actually helped. I think it was right at point of contact when JD hit the wall that the ball might have been jolted out of his glove. That ball had some carry on it. We get to see it again here. Outer half, John Ryan Murphy going with the fastball, and just actually he clanked it. Ball was not off the wall. He had not touched the wall yet. Just hit off the heel of his glove. And sometimes that happens on anticipation of hitting the wall.
Two-base error for J.D. Martinez. Now the Twins would love to take advantage of this error like the Tigers took advantage of the first Nunez error. There's Danny Santana. Swing and a miss. One strike. Santana tried to bunt his way aboard. He eluded the tag of Miguel Cabrera at first, but couldn't reach first base with his hand. So he was retired, and then he struck out swinging in the third. Up and away.
Danny Santana has had a pretty good start to his 2016 season. Got a base hit in last night's game. Prior to that, against Cleveland, he had a couple multi-hit games. Tigers playing him straight away.
And now 1-2. Cutter got him, and Santana strikes out, 2 down. Cutter, slider, whatever. You can see the lateral movement. 2 down.
4th strikeout for Jordan Zimmerman. We get to see the pitch again, and just a little late movement right there at the end.
Budweiser Roof Deck is the ultimate Minnesota Twins outdoor experience. The roof deck is available for your group of 250 guests on both Independence and Labor Day weekends. Clients and staff will love the views, the large fire up there on a cool afternoon like today. Everything you need for mixing game time with social time. Go to twinsbaseball.com/groups. First pitch strike to Brian Dozier. A fly ball to left, a ground ball to third.
0 for 2 in today's game against Zimmerman. Brian Dozier, we mentioned, one of the only guys that have faced him prior to this start, where he was also 0 for 2.
And off the end of the bat foul, 2 strikes. Zimmerman had a good outing against the Twins back in 2013 when he was with the Washington Nationals. 7 shutout innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. Didn't handle him well when he was in the National League. They'll see an awful lot of him this year. 6 series between the 2 teams. Foul back.
It makes it tough for a pitcher to have to face the same teams in their own division as many times as they do. They could get 4 or 5 starts against the same team. And the more hitters see of a pitcher, I think the advantage goes to the hitters.
2 strikes with 2 outs. Murphy still at second base. Saltalamacchia is set up outside. The pitch delivered there, 1-2.
Good take right there by Brian. You could see that ball was well off the outside corner. Just a base hit. Score Murphy from second base.
Farther outside, 2-2.
It's one thing you rarely see from Brian Dozier is to chase a breaking ball off the outside corner. He's pretty good at staying within the strike zone. He will chase up once in a while.
The Twins got a run on the 4th after the 2nd out on Park's home run. They're hoping for a 2-out hit from Dozier. Inside. Saltalamacchia again looked like he was set up outside, but the pitch delivered inside. 3-2, a base open, of course, but Mauer's on deck.
I agree with what you just said there. I think Zimmerman just didn't finish off that ball. It might have slipped out of his hand. It definitely stayed inside.
Strike 3. And Dozier strikes out. Twins can't cash in on the Tiger error. Our Pepsi fans of the game are not cold with their bomber hats on. And of course, the beauty of the bomber hat is you can have it flaps up or flaps down.
Who was that? Dimitri Young? Home run with one flap up, one flap down.
Jeffrey Leonard is the one that comes to mind.
Yeah. Edwin Encarnacion.
Right. Ian Kinsler will lead off the 6th. He's just taken ball 1 from Tyler Duffy. Inside now 2-0. 3 unearned runs against Duffy. His ERA for the season is down to 1. Just a handful of innings, of course. 4 in his first start, 5 so far here today. Park tracking this foul ball and makes the catch 1 away. It's a tricky wind, and you can see that the way Park was playing that ball. The wind blowing in from left, and he kind of circled around behind it and then came up to make the catch. And I wonder whether that ball that Martinez dropped seemed to carry farther than he initially thought. So this is, I've always said this here at Target Field, this is the most vertical ballpark in the major leagues. And on a windy day, when it gets in here, I think there's some secondary wind currents, and it can be a very difficult place to attract pop-ups and fly balls.
Doesn't hold a candle to old candlestick, that's for sure.
Well, in your days in Toronto, when the roof was open, they theorized, still do I guess, that the wind can get under that structure out in center field and almost have kind of a cyclonic effect out there. Here's a high fly ball. We'll see what the wind does to this.
And blow this one into the seats, I think.
Yep.
There's no question, depending on the direction of the wind, it's going to have an effect. You've got that plaza area out in right field where the wind can kind of blow through from downtown, and everything else is enclosed. Today it looks like we have a direct north wind blowing in from left field, at least above the stadium.
You know, when the wind blows in from right field here, you can go down the third baseline
And when you get beyond third base, you can feel it blowing out toward right field, the very direction in which the wind was blowing in. And this isn't a, you'll see golfers, there's a call third strike, pick up some blades of grass to see which way the wind's blowing. You don't have to do that when you get beyond third base. It's pretty gusty blowing out toward right field. 2 down.
Meanwhile, Tyler Duffy has really settled in nicely. That was his 5th strikeout. Pitch count in very good shape, 84, after 21 of those pitches in the first inning.
2 down. Here's Cabrera with the bases empty. On the outside corner.
You can't help but like Tyler Duffy in the fact that he is not afraid. He is out there competing every single time he has the ball in his hand. He's going to give you the best he has.
Fouled away. There's something internal about Duffy that was evident last year throughout his starts, but in particular his start in Houston, where he is from, where he played college ball, and he had a lot of friends and family there, and he came within a bullpen collapse of picking up a win in what at the time was his biggest start of his major league career.
A little bit overthrowing that last pitch when you have one of the game's best hitters up and you're a young pitcher, and you know it's a challenge. It's what makes this game fun. You want to get out the game's best because then you feel like you could become one of the best yourself.
And now off the plate 2-2.
But you can't help but love his demeanor out there. And I think Terry Ryan knew that when they brought him up last year. One of the reasons, and they talked about it when they brought him up, was his maturity and the fact that he could handle this situation as a young man.
Now a breaking ball fills the count. Victor Martinez on deck. He's hit a batter. He hasn't walked a batter. Issued a couple of walks against the Nationals. Breaking ball hit hard to center. Santana back, still back. It's off the base of the fence. Here's the throw to second base, and dropped by Escobar. The throw past Dozier, the cutoff man, and Escobar, had he been able to squeeze it, would have had a tag on Cabrera.
It's going to be ruled a double, which it should be. Danny Santana, if he could have thrown the ball to the first base side of second base, that would have been more of an easier tag for Eduardo Escobar. And see, Danny, knowing that ball's going to hit off the wall, he plays it pretty good and gets rid of it quickly. But look at the tail on that ball when he threw it in. It drifts third base side.
And it would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Close at second had he held on to the ball. So Cabrera with a double, and now Victor Martinez will bat.
It just shows how good a hitter Miguel Cabrera is. Duffy really trying his hardest to get him out, and sometimes you try too hard and you leave the ball up, and he did that out over the plate. Miguel's so strong. I mean, he takes swings like he's sleeping. he just doesn't look like he's even putting an effort in, and the ball just flies off his bat.
And strike one now to Victor Martinez. Cabrera's just, you could tell in his slide that he did something to his leg, and he's just kind of not limping but favoring the right leg. Anyway,
well, he's having fun now with the Latin outfielders for the Twins, messing with Sano out there and Rosario.
1-1.
Take another look at the swing here from Miggy. Just strong, great point of contact, but not over swinging for sure. Just strong hands. He's still chirping out there.
Getting the ball where it's pitched. That's to right. And Sano still tracking it, and it's over his head. And a run will score. Here's the throw to second, and Victor Martinez is in with a double.
And that ball carried farther than at least Sano thought.
It appeared to me that ball should have been caught. We'll get another look at it here. Sano just not getting over there. So Victor Martinez will pick up an RBI.
And all 4 Tiger runs have scored after the second out. Pair of doubles here, and Justin Upton will bat. I thought that ball was almost hit right at Sano when it left home plate. There's strike 1. Hits are even 4 apiece, but all the Tiger hits have been extra base hits. 3 doubles and a home run. Missing inside, 1-1.
And some time leading too for Detroit. Back-to-back hits with multi-base hits that'll score runs. 4-1.
One and 2. Murphy to the mound. He'll hand deliver the baseball.
There'll be some activity. Everyday Fernando. It used to be Everyday Eddie, who is the pitching coach or the bullpen coach out there, Eddie Guardado. And seems like Abad is up and throwing whenever available. Pitch count at 96, so he's getting close to that magical 100.
And a strikeout ends the inning, but the 3 and 4 batters for the Tigers hit 2-out doubles to add another run. This series now it's a 3-run lead again with Mauer, the lone bright spot in the Twins lineup for reaching base on a regular basis.
Can't complain about what Joe has done. He's on base every game. Leads all of baseball this year with that.
We've talked about the work that Joe's put in, and it's not typical baseball work. Talking with Tom Bernansky today about this extra stuff that Joe is doing to improve his vision. To go through the whole program, it takes an hour and a half. And Tom said he's not sure that Joe does it every day, but it's something he's disciplined himself to do to improve his vision.
You notice that he's wearing sunglasses right now, and it's kind of a hazy gray day here. There's no real bright sun, and yet that has been part of his new routine, determining whether or not to wear those sunglasses to cut down on the glare.
you know, if you have a sprained knee, there are exercises you can do to strengthen your knee again and the muscles around the knee, and athletes do that. But in this case, Joe had vision issues because of the concussion. I remember when he suffered the concussion and couldn't play at the end of the season, he said he told me he'd try to play catch and the ball would come at him in a streak. Well, it got better the next year, but it hasn't really been completely better in terms of his ability to see the baseball until this year. And he's worked hard to do that. This isn't just a little 3-minute exercise that he does. It takes over an hour to go through the vision drill. And he gets his second hit of the ball game. You can tell when a hitter's feeling good at the plate because they tend to be in a lot of deep counts.
Joe's always been that way. He's never been afraid to hit with 2 strikes. And that's a great thing for your offense, to see pitches work. That was 6 pitches from Jordan Zimmerman. And then he ends up hitting a pretty good pitcher's pitch up the middle.
Sano 0 for 2, a strikeout and a fly to right.
I tease people all the time that there's nothing in Joe's life that he does fast, so I imagine these eye vision drills are something that take time.
Strike 1. Well, I've tried to tell people how difficult, I mean, what impresses me about the game of baseball, the challenge of trying to hit a baseball that's coming at you 90 miles per hour. And whether it's in batting practice or in the game here, here's Sano. Now that swing, the bat didn't start moving until the ball coming at him 90 miles per hour had gotten out of the grass area and onto the dirt.
0.4 of a second is what they say at 90 miles an hour.
0-2.
That's what separates the couch potatoes from the guys in the show.
Watch the pitch. And in the case of a swing, the barrel of the bat doesn't move until the ball is 3/4 of the way to the plate. Swing and a miss. Sano strikes out, 1 away.
You get that behind the screen angle to see how quick it is, but in reality it's quicker than that because that's another 50 feet further back. So if you're standing 50 feet closer to the pitcher, and the fact that he's releasing the ball at about 55 feet or 50 feet, it gets on you in a hurry.
Young Ho Park, a strikeout in the second and a home run in the fourth. Now a fly to right, 2 away. That'll bring up Eduardo Escobar. I'm going to go Marty Cordova.
All right, I'm going to let you go with him. I don't know who to take on this one. I'm going to pass.
Get her back.
There you go. Probably got 4 of those off of me.
And Herbie, in the first year at the Metronome, peppered him into the upper deck. And on a regular basis, here's Escobar. Strike 1. Escobar with a pair of singles. He's pulled them both to the right side.
Twins just haven't put any kind of rally so far against Zimmerman.
Well, you mentioned all his qualifications. He doesn't give up many hits. He doesn't walk in. He doesn't give up a lot of home runs. Well, how do you string something together against a guy who's that good?
He's not just doing it against the Twins. He's done it all year for Detroit. He's working on his 5th win in the month of April. I think he had 1 no decision.
Twins out hitting the Tigers 5-4, but they haven't been able to get more than 1 hit in an inning.
It's funny, and I think deception has got to be a big part of this. You talk to hitters about how they see the ball out of a pitcher's hand, and right at the last minute is when Jordan Zimmerman's baseballs are diving away, whether they are breaking balls or running tailing fastballs or just missing the bats. Guys have good swings. It's in the strike zone, but they're swinging through it.
Castellanos makes a foul ball catch to end the bottom of the 6th.
Bottom, I think it's probably the toughest division out there. You talk about the Royals just winning the World Series, and all the other teams, are getting better. But we got to start from day one, and just try to win every game here in and out. Every game in the division is going to be important, and it's not going to be easy, but should be very interesting.
Well, that's one of the discouraging things about the 0-9 start. Twins have played 500 baseball since then. They've won one series within the division, having been swept by the White Sox and the Royals. Those games within the division, the Twins did well in that category last year, and doing well really in any category so far this year.
We talked about it the other night. They've got to start winning on the road. They go on the road to Houston, then back in their own division in Chicago. 1-10 start on the road.
Castellanos with one strike. And now a ball.
Tyler Duffy back out there. This will be his 100th pitch of the game. There is activity in the Twins bullpen, but Neil Allen and Paul Molitor letting him go back to start the 7th inning. I've been a fan of Tyler Duffy since he has been called up. I know that given some offense and some defense behind him, this guy will be a winner in the big leagues. I'm confident of that as long as he can stay healthy.
Missing the outside corner, 2-2. Castellanos, Saltalamacchia, and goes. Last year, the Twins were 10-12 in April, and then had a 20-win May. That doink to right field. Pitch inside, wasn't even a strike. Castellanos was able to flare it into right field.
That's what Nick Castellanos has been doing, and that's why his average has climbed early this year, and he's up there hitting over 300. He's able to fight some of those tough pitches off and muscle them into right field.
Talked about it a number of times already this year. That's what has made Mike Moustakas a more complete hitter. The ability, well, not the ability, because I think he always had that. The willingness to take what the pitcher is giving you. Now that's a bit of an extreme example with a pitch that was in off the plate. You don't expect many right-handed batters to get hits to right field on pitches like that. But in Moustakas' case, the willingness to use the whole field.
Well, there's 90 degrees of 360 out there on the field, and if you're only going to use 45 of it, 45 degrees of it, you're limiting what you can do. Use the whole field.
Tends to work that way, doesn't it? If you're only going to use half the field, you'll only end up with half the hits. 2 strikes.
Especially in a day and age where they shift and all of a sudden there's 3 men on one side of the infield.
Foul back.
Got away with one right there. Fastball up. It wasn't up high enough. There we go. Trevor May and Ryan O'Rourke, righty lefty in the pen for the Twins.
Hey, it's Ryan O'Rourke's birthday today.
Happy birthday. It's a big day for some people.
There's a called 3rd strike, and Duffy strikes out Saltalamacchia.
Number 7 for Tyler. He's starting to add up. 7 innings, not quite 7 innings of work, so he's averaging 1 an inning.
And Paul Molitor coming to the mound to make a pitching change, dropping a breaking ball on the outside corner in a good spot. Twins are trailing, and Tyler Duffy, with the score 4-1, will get a nice round of applause, a well-deserved.
Yeah, I thought he pitched a very good ball game. Only the 1 earned run allowed, that being the run scored in the 6th inning, but overall he did a very nice job.
Words of encouragement,
Yes,
Neil
sir.
Allen to Tyler Duffy, who did a nice job here today in his 2nd start of the year and showed no effects of being drilled in the shoulder by a line drive in DC.
Very good command today. No walks, 7 strikeouts, and I'm sure you're absolutely right. Neil Allen just reminding him that that's what we're looking for, kid. Go out there and keep doing that, and you're going to have better results. Ryan O'Rourke, 7th game. He's been used quite a bit since being recalled from Rochester.
28 years ago today, he was brought into the world in Worcester, Massachusetts. So happy birthday to the Twins lefty.
Worcester. You ever been there?
Yes. For college hockey years and years ago.
You were not participating. You were probably broadcasting.
No, yeah, I was broadcasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
You made it sound like
right,
you were in a tournament there or something.
Yeah, me on skates in a hockey game, right?
I'd pay to watch that.
2-0 now to Anthony Goes.
I wonder if they have hockey fantasy camps.
They do.
Do they?
Wayne Gretzky had one for a lot of years. Don't know if he still does or not. 3-0.
Well, O'Rourke's going to have to get back in this count here. His job is to get the left-hander out.
And there's a strike. You saw the numbers. They're all very good for O'Rourke, and then you have to remember he didn't make the team out of spring training either. He had a really good spring training, but Twins went with other options out of the bullpen.
And a walk will put Goes aboard. First and second, one down. And O'Rourke on his birthday asked to get one man out. He didn't do that. Now he'll come out of the ballgame. We'll have another quick trip to the mound here and a pitching change in the 7th. Twins trying to stay in this game. They trail by 3. And Jose Iglesias will hit next after the pitching change. Tigers already leading by 3. A threat here. First and second, one down. And now Trevor May will come in to try to get Jose Iglesias to hit into a double play.
Interesting that we watched Trevor May have his warm-up pitches. The whole process here over the last 2 years, you know, I think I could put up some kind of argument that maybe that guy right there, number 65, Trevor may have the best stuff on the Twin staff right now. Absolute stuff. 96, 97 mile-an-hour fastball, a very good over-the-top breaking ball. Not the greatest command at times, but true stuff. And yet he was brought into the organization as a starter, thrown into the bullpen kind of out of necessity, and did a great job. And Paul Molitor just had to say, well, geez, I need the value of him out in the bullpen. And there's no conversation at all about him starting again, even though he was supposedly in spring training with a little bit of an experiment to maybe have a chance to start again.
Well, what's interesting to me is here we are at the end of April, and you've had so much turnover in the rotation. Gibson, Santana on the disabled list. This ball squirted to right, and Park makes the catch for out number 2. No chance to double up. Goes soft line drive for the second out. If all these injuries had hit the Twins at the end of March, what you bring up about Trevor May might have been something to consider, that he was in camp as a starter, and it might have been that May would be considered to start for the Twins if Gibson's shoulder flared up in March instead of April, and Santana bent over to pick up a baseball and felt a twinge in his back. Here's Kinsler, 2 on, 2 out. The other change in the rotation, Malone started in the rotation, moved to the bullpen, so the Twins now have 3 lefties out there. 1-0 to Kinsler.
Yeah, Phil Hughes, the only guy out of camp that's still in the rotation.
And Nolasco.
Oh, and Ricky, I'm sorry.
Nolasco was fighting for his spot in the rotation through the month of March, and in April he was the Twins' best starting pitcher.
We'll start tomorrow's game, the first day of May. There's Ricky.
Do you ever do that as a player? I mean, you know, those of us who play golf, and if we're struggling in the front 9, kind of take a breath after the 9th hole at the turn and
try to have a better back nine. Baseball, you get a chance to do that 5 times just by turning the calendar page. Okay, I had a bad April. No, I'm going to be better in May.
And I'm going to tell you a little story that helped me with that. Roger Craig was probably my 3rd or 4th pitching coach in the big leagues. And I'll never forget Roger. I started out, had a tough month of April, and I was in the middle of May, and I think I only had 2 wins and probably 5 or 6 losses. And he looked at me one day in the bullpen. He said, you know, you still can win 20 games. And of course, I was down on myself, and I was wondering if I was ever going to win another game. And he said, you can still win 20 games. Well, I didn't win 20, but I think I ended up with 17 wins that year. And just a different change of attitude, encouraged by a pitching coach, made a difference.
3-1 to Kinsler. Chop to the right side. Nice pickup, and Park goes to second. You get the 4th play there. Nice job by May, stranding a couple of runners in the 7th. Tigers in front. Here's the Grand Casino story of the game.
Early on, after an error and a double, Justin Upton launched the ball into the upper deck in left field. That put Detroit up 3-0, and Jordan Zimmerman has been everything predicted. He has really pitched a strong game. He's still in there throwing breaking balls. That's the one mistake he made back in the 4th inning. Byung-Ho Park deposited one in the bullpen out there in left center, and then Victor Martinez is able to get that run back. A ball that maybe Sano could have gotten. Back-to-back doubles from Miggy and Victor, and now the game is still a 3-run game. Tigers leading 4-1.
Nunez takes inside, ball 1. Nunez, Rosario, and Murphy due up. Of course, the Twins with a 13-man pitching staff, 3 bench players tonight, or today. Arcia, Suzuki, and Polanco. There's a ball hit to right field, and the base hit.
Stay there.
The Twins. The helmet stayed on.
Yeah, all the way.
Leadoff single. Twins got one of those in the 6th, and Mauer never budged from first base. Now Eddie Rosario.
Twins have failed to put any kind of sequence of hits back to back off of Zimmerman. He's been very good at that, and we'll see if maybe Rosario and Murphy can keep the wheel rolling here.
I misspoke last inning. I said the Twins have never had more than 1 hit per inning. They did get the home run from Park, and then Escobar's single immediately afterward.
All with 2 outs.
Right. And now Rosario takes a strike on the outside corner.
They have the leadoff man, like you mentioned, Joe Mauer, in the 6th inning. Here they are in the 7th, bottom of 7, with Nunez on first.
Nunez scampers back.
There's another element of what Jordan Zimmerman has brought to the Tigers, and that is giving the bullpen some rest. And this is a team that the bullpen has been exposed in the past. We talked about it in yesterday's broadcast about the real problem with Detroit over the last several years has been late in that bullpen. But Jordan Zimmermann has gone deep into every game, 7th inning or beyond. And that really can help a manager and pitching coach and give the guys a day off in the pen.
I don't know whether any two teams in baseball have symbolized how the game has changed than the two teams in the American League Central, the Kansas City Royals and the Detroit Tigers in recent years. There's a pitch down and in. The Royals in the World Series back-to-back years, and you know, without Madison Bumgarner, maybe back-to-back World Championships because of their bullpen. And the Tigers for years had incredible starting pitching. You know, stack those 5 guys we listed last night: Verlander, Scherzer, Pfister, Porcello, Sanchez, right? Stack those, and Price when he was added, right? 2-1 to Rosario. But stack those 5 guys against any other rotation in Major League Baseball, and no one would come close. But Detroit didn't get to the World Series or win it because of their lack of a bullpen.
And the fact that it does get tougher to hit late in the year when you're facing the best in the World Series.
Right.
Or at least the postseason.
2-2 now to Rosario. Murphy will follow at the top of the order.
Left-hander Justin Wilson. He's getting loose, and he's been a go-to guy for Brad Ausmus. Close ball game here. Still within reach for the Twins.
Double play grounder. Kinsler to Iglesias, 2 away.
Iglesias just gets rid of that ball so quickly, and a strong throwing arm. It wasn't even close at first base with a fast running Eddie Rosario.
Follow Twins baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Customize at-bat to feature the Twins and stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast news, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. 2 down. Here's Murphy. He's actually hit the ball hard twice, both times to the opposite field. A liner picked off at ground level by Kinsler in the 3rd, and then a drive that carried Martinez to the wall. Martinez should have made the catch, but he dropped the ball. 2-0, 2-base error. Twins people will tell you that Murphy very disciplined during batting practice, uses the whole field, and yeah, he's 0 for 2, but at least he's put the ball in play hard to the right side twice. Breaking ball and strike 2. And a high fastball strikes out Murphy. Miguel Cabrera, one of the best hitters in the game, also a boyish quality, and having a hard time giving Nunez a hard time at first base.
of America Studio Sports Update. Tomorrow afternoon here on Fox Sports North, the Twins close out their series with the Tigers. Our coverage starts at 12:30 with Twins Live, immediately followed by the Twins and Tigers, the end of a 6-game homestand and the final game of the first month of the season for the Minnesota Twins.
4-1 Detroit as we head to the 8th inning. May did a nice job stranding a couple of runners in the 7th. He'll face J.D. Martinez to lead off the 8th. Up and away, ball 1. Martinez signing a contract extension. He has found a home in Detroit after being released by the Astros. Popped up. And Park now on the warning track has it spin back into the seats. J.D. Martinez, highly thought of at one point in Houston. And Astros pretty much gave up on him, even though he was hitting 251 with 24 home runs.
It wasn't like they were terrible numbers. They just were making a change, and then those numbers even got better with the Tigers. He's a great kid. He's been a fan of the game. Talked about how he used to hang out at the ballpark, chase foul balls, rattling around the bleachers.
And for Martinez, a case of different organization and fresh start someplace else. But we talk about, because we've had so many young players, hitters, trying to adjust to the big leagues. It's different from player to player, but the number most people seem to agree on, that it probably takes about 1,000 at bats for somebody for you to know what kind of player they're going to be, whether they're going to be able to make the adjustment or not. And that's kind of how it played out for Martinez. The problem is, at bats 900 to 1,000 were in a Tiger uniform. Right. The Astros gave him like 900 at bats. They didn't like what they saw, thought that he had already reached what he was going to become, and they couldn't have been more wrong.
Yeah, that's one of the great stories, really. I mean, if you're a scout for the Tigers and you can land a guy like that, and all of a sudden he blooms without ever blooming before that.
Takes a walk here, leading off the 8th.
Just a reminder, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins. They may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent to the Minnesota Twins.
Brigham Young education comes in handy. Big words like, dissemination.
Don't ask me to explain it.
Lead-off walk for Martinez, and now Cabrera. Drilled to left, and Rosario with a running catch. One away. Bring up Victor Martinez.
Even his outs have been solid contact for Miguel. Good catch there for Eddie Rosario. Good route.
Victor Martinez with a pair of doubles, 6 hits in the series, 3 doubles for his last 3 hits in this series.
You kind of wonder why in the 6th inning, after a double by Cabrera with the base open, you might have pitched around Victor Martinez, but with Justin Upton kind of hot and already hitting a 3-run home run, they chose to pitch to him, and he gets that key 4th run of the game with an RBI double.
Fouled back. May with an opponent batting average of right around 200 now after picking up some outs here this afternoon. The walk's too high.
Milwaukee issue leading off the 8th inning here. 8th walk.
Great changeup right there. That's why I think overall Trevor May has the best stuff of anybody in the Twins uniform right now. He's got a great fastball. This is just an absolutely great changeup. I mean, perfect arm action. It looks identical to his fastball. And when you can trick a hitter like a Victor Martinez, he's going to try to back it up, I think, here with another one.
That was pretty good right there.
Yes,
Martinez doesn't strike out very often. He has struck out twice here this afternoon, and you're right, he backed up one changeup, I think, with another. 2 down.
You want to keep it away. The changeup is a pitch that you absolutely want to keep away because the hitter can shift his lower body, keep his hands back, and if it's still in the middle half, to drop the head of the barrel on the ball. But when it's away, they have to reach for it, and their lower body's already gone. So that's what he was able to do right there. Trevor May picking up his first strikeout.
You saw Fox Tracks. That was presented by Carrier. 2 down, and now Justin Upton. Blocked by Murphy, but not well enough, and Martinez will go to second. Wild pitch will be charged to May.
Very little John Ryan Murphy could do there. He went out and made contact with the ball, but once it deflects off of him and scoots over there, see, he got his chest down, but didn't square up the baseball, and it shoots off to his right.
Looked like he tried to angle his torso to have it deflect to the left, and it still kicked to the right. 1-0. And a strike on the outside corner. Now the challenge, I would imagine, for May, if he ever does come out of the bullpen and rejoin the rotation, would be to sustain the velocity that he has shown as a reliever that he didn't show earlier as a starter. Pitching an inning at a time or fractions of 2 innings, it's easier to maintain your velocity.
Right. It's certainly going to be a tougher thing for him to do it over the course of 7, 8 innings, 6, 7 innings in today's game.
Bert talks regularly about, you know, he was a runner as he was pitching. Now, were you a runner? Did you believe? Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. Your legs are carrying your body, and you get deeper into the ball game, it's all about your endurance and your leg strength.
2-1. Off the plate.
Justin Upton came into today's game with 37 strikeouts. He has 1 strikeout, so that's 38. I don't know what that equates to over the season.
A lot.
I know it's a lot.
Take all the numbers, multiply them times 6, because we're just about ready to end the first month of the season.
240 something.
That's a lot of strikeouts. Fouled back. Down by 3, and they need to strand every runner the Tigers put on the bases here. Tiger bullpen has been better. It would appear Jordan Zimmerman's day is done. And Upton fouls a pitch off. Three runs for the Tigers in the first inning, all of them unearned, and that right now is the difference in the game. Fly ball right field. Sano short of the track ends the inning. A scoreless 8th. Twins down by 3.
Don't let that score deceive you. We'll talk about the pitcher's duel we saw early on today, and the one pitch Tyler Duffey would likely like back. Plus, we'll talk about Joe Mauer and how he continues to be hot for the Twins. And as always, we'll hear from Paul Molitor. That's all coming your way next on Twins Live. We'll see you then.
Twins hoping to come back and win this game. Thank you, Audra. And veteran reliever Mark Lowe comes out of the Detroit bullpen for the 9th time this year.
Coming over from the Blue Jays organization, where he did a very nice job for them in their postseason run last year. Mark Lowe has been their 8th inning guy, trying to get the ball over to Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod, in the 9th inning. But what a job again by Jordan Zimmermann. 7 innings of 6-hit baseball, struck out 6, only gave up the 1 run, that home run by Byung Ho Park.
Santana takes ball 1. He tried to bunt his way aboard in the first inning. Since then has struck out twice. I think what Paul Molitor would like to see from Santana, and was hoping to see it from Buxton before he was demoted. Okay, he tried to bunt his way aboard in the first inning and he failed. Come back with it. Put down a better bunt. It's a weapon, and just because you went hitless in your first bunt attempt, go ahead and drop down another one. 3-0.
Tiger's very well aware of that. Castellanos is in on the grass. Now he's backing up a couple steps with the count at 3-0. Miguel Cabrera playing quite deep at first base. Of course, Kinsler's way back.
There's a 4-pitch walk, so he didn't even have to square around or swing. Santana reaches. Leadoff walk. It's the 3rd inning in a row where the Twins have gotten their leadoff man aboard. Kick off the youth baseball and softball season with a free clinic Saturday, May 7th at Prairie Island Sports Complex. Clinic is open to boys and girls ages 6 to 12 interested in learning basic tips and skills from the Minnesota Twins community coaches. No pre-registration required. Visit foxsportsnorth.com. Click on upcoming events for details. And now here's Brian Dozier. Strike 1. Dozier 0 for 3. And the average down to 194.
You look at the Twins overall, and production-wise, this is the one guy that you just didn't expect this from. He's been around and he's put up some really good numbers, 250 average, but a lot of run production, runs scored, and home runs, and on base. Dozier just having a tough start to this season.
Lowe couldn't throw Santana a strike, and now he's thrown 2 that Dozier has taken. Ball away, and it's 1-2. Dozier striking out his last time up. 18 strikeouts, 10 walks. Dozier scored 11 runs, and while that leads the team, I think the Twins imagined after a month gone into the season that there'd be twice that many runs scored, that he would be on base a lot, guys behind him would be driving him in, fighting a pitch off, staying alive.
Well, we talk about the adjustments everybody has to make, whether you're a pitcher or a hitter, and the word is out around the league. You stay away from Brian Dozier. He's quick inside, loves the ball middle half in, both up and down in the zone. So what are they doing? What are they doing? Away, 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 away. And Brian has not shown that he's willing to go with that pitch away.
So Lamacchia sets up away. Santana goes. It's a swing and a miss. And out at second base.
Strike him out, throw him out. And that's a pitcher's best friend.
Kinsler with the tag on the lower half of Santana as he went in with a head first slide. second base umpire Mike DeMuro right there. And with Santana still a foot away from the bag. I think that last swing is what you were talking about, with a pitch away, perhaps a strike in the outside corner, but it looked like Brian was trying to pull it.
Well, I think he does almost every swing. He had a night a few days ago where he had 3 hits all to the right side, and you would think maybe something clicked there, but he's been pretty stubborn in his approach.
Outside Bauer, 2 singles for Joe. Hasn't touched second base yet. 2-out single in the first, leadoff single in the 6th. Off back-to-back off years for Mauer. In 2014 he had 277, and then last year a career low 265. Came into this year with an on-base percentage of just under 400, and this year a lofty, well right now a lofty 457 on-base percentage. 2-1.
I think that leads the American League, doesn't it?
It does, yes. Tapper, the line foul. It's the 1 home run, a triple, and 5 doubles. But twice as many walks, more than twice as many walks as strikeouts. And last year he had twice as many strikeouts as walks. 2-2. Pulled on the ground, easy play for Cabrera. And Lowe, despite the leadoff 4-pitch walk, faces just 3 men in the inning. Caught up with the Tigers again, striking early.
Justin Upton, great extension there. That puts up Detroit Tigers up 3-0 in the first inning. Mistake. And then Jordan Zimmerman, he's just been spot on all season long for the Tigers. Pitches 7 strong innings, only 6 hits allowed. The one mistake, Young-Ho Park, and he parks one into the bullpen out in left center for the solo run that the Twins have scored here today. 4-1 as we go to the top of the 9th.
Of his 6 home runs, that might have been the closest home run that Park has hit. That might not have been a home run, and he still cleared the fence by 30 feet.
Yeah, he's hit some bombs here at Target Field. Michael Tonkin's going to come in his 10th game. Very good ERA. Michael is working on First of all, keeping guys off the base, but once they're on the base, working on trying to do a better job of mixing up the timing, trying to keep the runner where they are.
And Castellanos takes a strike. Castellanos singled his last time up, taking a pitch inside and getting enough of the bat on it to flare it into right field. Earlier he struck out twice. Knocked down by Dozier. He'll have no play, and Castellanos will have a leadoff single.
Second hit from Nick Castellanos.
Hey, look who's going to be pitching at Target Field tomorrow. Mike Pelfrey. He has not had one run of support scored for him in his 4 starts with the Tigers. Ricky Nolasco will go for the Twins. That's what's next. Brought to you by CenturyLink. Castellanos comes out. Romine in as a pinch runner. Like the Twins, the Tigers have a 13-man pitching staff. And with a little more speed now at first base, this is what you're talking about with Tonkin. He's given up a couple of stolen bases without so much as a look at the runner at first. Little bit quicker delivery to the plate instead of the big high Nolan Ryan leg kick.
Well, he doesn't even have to change that drastically. What he needs to do is the pause and maybe every once in a while throw over, but just upset the timing a little bit so that he can't take that walking lead that we've seen so many times.
Foul back. 1-1. Well, now my daughter came to the game again here today, and that foul ball was hit 1 seat to her left, and she didn't show any aggression towards it at all.
Well, tell us how you really feel.
Well,
she doesn't want to look up here either. She knows his dad's probably concerned.
Well, I'm happy for those sitting around her, because they get all the foul balls in the whole section. There goes the runner. Swing and a miss. Murphy's throw not in time.
Strikeout, but a stolen base. Great jump by Andrew Romine. He's going to take a perfect throw, and that wasn't the case from John Ryan Murphy.
So the opponents continue to run against Michael Tonkin, and Anthony Goes will bat. One of the issues the Twins had with Jared Burton, who otherwise was a good reliever for the Twins, but when people did get on base, had a terrible time controlling the running game.
There's been pitchers that can't even throw to first base. They have the yips.
John Lester most recently.
Yeah, and it's just that just, yeah, pinpoint control at 60 feet 6 inches to a hitter, but you can't throw it over to the first baseman.
Let's say Matt Young, remember the left-hander that was with the Seattle Mariners, and he had a phobia about throwing to first base.
Matt Garza had a little issue with the Twins.
Yeah. Strike over the inside corner.
That's a pitcher's pitch right there. Mid-90s, right on the black, right underneath the hands.
And another one. Same spot. 0-2.
He missed. He was supposed to throw that ball away, and pretty much center cut, but sometimes when the hitter sees the catcher shifting or couldn't pull the trigger himself, Ghost probably sitting on a breaking ball those first 2 pitches, and now he's going to have to be in the defensive mode.
Two strikes. Tonkin just struck out Saltalamacchia, trying to strand Romine at second base. Checked his swing. 1-2.
Good pitch right there. Ghost tends to swing over the top of a lot of those type of pitches, so you might as well go to the well and check it out, see if he can expand the strike zone with that pitch.
Cracked foul over the Tiger dugout. Who just joined us, Tyler Duffy, pitched into the 7th inning. Gave up 1 earned run, 4 runs total. And the closer, Rodriguez, warming up right now. It would be a save situation in the bottom of the 9th, but if another run scores, it won't be. And Wilson will come in. Swing and a miss. 93 down and away, 2 down.
So back-to-back strikeouts for Michael Tonkin. This one, nice tail to it again. A mistake that he got away with. You can see that John Ryan Murphy was setting up inside. The ball was caught on the outside part of the plate.
Now Iglesias bounced into a double play, hit a grounder to Nunez, and lined out to Park. Up and in. Ball 1. Tonkin trying to pitch around the leadoff single and stolen base. Single by Castellanos, the stolen base by Romine.
Talk about the Tiger lineup and the power and the ability to score runs. Iglesias batting in the 9th hole. Here's a guy that hit over 300 for most of the year last year. Came into today's game hitting 284. But Twins have handled him pretty well today, but tremendous defensive player and not too bad with the bat. He's a tough guy to strike out. He will shorten up and try to put the ball in play.
1-1 to Iglesias, and a breaking ball, strike 2. Of course, Iglesias has the benefit of having one of the best shortstops I've ever seen, Omar Vizquel, as the first base coach and infield instructor.
I played with Omar. He definitely had some of the best hands I've ever seen, but I think Iglesias has a stronger throwing arm, so that combination makes him unique. He really stands out defensively.
Tonkin gives up a leadoff hit and then strikes out the next 3 batters. Twins finding out that it's not a good idea to give the Tigers 3 runs in the first inning, and in the case of today's game, I guess you could say they did just that. An error led to 3 unearned runs, and it's been an uphill climb ever since. And now the Twins will try to put together a rally at the end of the game against Francisco Rodriguez.
Making his 10th appearance for the Tigers. He's kind of turned into a changeup guy. He used to be a dominant closer in baseball in his younger days, and he's still surviving with a lot of deception, a lot of arm and leg coming at you. But he does not throw in the high 90s anymore. In fact, it's closer to 90 with his fastball. It's very good changeup. That's his go-to pitch. That'll be in the high 70s.
Romine stays in at third base, and Rodriguez will face first Sano, who takes strike 1, then Park, and then Escobar. 391 career saves for Rodriguez. Strike 2.
That's his fastball right there, and you weren't deceived. It was 89 miles an hour, but good movement. And he looks like he's going to throw at 120 miles an hour, but not coming in quite as hard as it used to.
Breaking ball in the dirt. Now, he didn't throw 120, but he came close to 100. And in his heyday, first he was a really good setup man for Troy Percival with the Angels. And then he became a closer with the Angels, and at one point saved 62 ball games in 1 year.
That's a lot.
One and 2. Breaking ball, a slower one.
You may remember that he used to wear those big glasses. Almost more like goggles than glasses, but has gone to the contacts.
Bit of a renaissance with the Brewers the last couple of years. He saved 82 ball games.
Another change up here.
And Sano swings through it. One away.
Way out in front, 82-mile-an-hour changeup.
Third strikeout today for Sano, and that'll bring up Park. Park, the only run scored for the Twins in this ballgame came on Park's 6th home run of the year. A laser into the bullpen in left center field. Missing inside, ball 1. At the knees, a strike. Remains to be seen whether Tigers will have any better luck with Rodriguez as a closer as they had with Soria, Nathan, Valverde, Rodney, so on and so forth.
Well, it hasn't been exactly pretty, but K-Rod has been getting the job done. He had a game against the Royals where he gave up a couple home runs, walked 2, and still ended up getting a save in that game. So it hasn't always been pretty here in a Tiger uniform, but so far so good.
2-1. Oh my. Rodriguez fortunate that the ball hit the glove. A bullet up the middle. And Rodriguez, who has a violent follow through, got his glove in the right spot to knock down a line drive. Whoa.
So many pitchers in today's game do not finish squared up. They always fall to the first base side if you're right-hander. So many guys in that ball could have hit him in the back just as easy as anything, but it's to his left, and he's able to keep his eye on the ball anyway. Gives his glove up. It happens quickly. Boom.
2 down, and that'll bring up Escobar.
Been many clean innings for Rodriguez as a closer. He's gotten 2 quick outs here. 1 strike to the Twins shortstop. Swing on a check, and it's 0-2. Down in the dirt, 1-2.
Hard for Francisco Rodriguez to throw a ball straight. Everything he throws moves. His changeup in particular has got very good sink to it. Here comes the changeup.
In the dirt. 2-2. If Escobar can keep the Twins alive here in the 9th inning, Nunez would have a chance. Tap foul. Twins in danger of falling to 2-9 within their division. 2 wins against Cleveland. Swept by the Royals in Kansas City. Were swept by the White Sox here. Now they're 1 strike away from losing the first 2 of the season series to Detroit. Three and 2. Again, Nunez on deck, and the Twins would like to get Rosario up this inning as the tying run. Escobar with a base hit, a good at bat, keeping the game alive. Escobar holds up after hustling around first. A 2-out single in the 9th.
3rd inning of the game for Eduardo Escobar. We were talking about it in last night's game that after a couple days off, it wouldn't surprise anybody that he comes out kind of feeling fresh, and today he does that. Had a couple of hits off of Zimmerman and now 1 off of Rodriguez.
And what's nice, I don't know, it just looks like a toned down swing by Escobar, just putting the ball in play. He has 3 ground ball singles. Now Nunez, who singled his last time up. And a strike. And it's Nunez's job to keep the game alive. Rosario scheduled to hit next. But another option might be Oswaldo Arcia if you're looking for a long ball to tie things up. And now 2 strikes to Nunez.
When I was in Detroit, I had a great conversation with Hall of Famer Al Kaline. We're talking about the strikeouts in today's game. And he said, you know, our generation, he hated to strike out. The only thing worse than striking out was making the last out of the game. And every time since then, every time there's a guy that could potentially make the last out, I was thinking about that. What it's like for a hitter not wanting to be the last out.
Jacked his swing, and it's 1-2. You saw Arcia trying to stay limber and loose in the Twins dugout. One and 2. Fouled back.
A little bit of a funky swing right there, but he stays alive.
Nunez getting the start at third base. So it'll be one more game, expected to be one more game before Trevor Plouffe rejoins the club in Houston on Monday. 1-2 to Eduardo Nunez. And with that, a nightmarish month of April comes to a close. Twins go 10 games below 500 in the first month of the year, and Tom Hanneman, the Twins, I think, will collectively be very happy to turn the calendar page.
Agreed, Dick. Twins now turn their attention to a Sunday showdown with Detroit. But we'll spend some time dissecting this day next on Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. A big day for Zimmerman. Joe Mauer streak continued. We'll hear from Paul Molitor and look ahead to the finale.